Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk.
This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive with me, Tim Elliott. A question for you. Are we in or at a moment of maturity for the UAE property market? That's what we're asking this morning. Years of rapid growth, sharp corrections, renewed momentum. The UAE real estate market's entering a new phase, not a slowdown, perhaps a stabilisation. Prices are finding perhaps more sustainable levels. Speculation cooling, long-term value is back in focus. So what we're asking in the next few minutes is, what does this mean for investors, for homeowners, for renters and developers as we look ahead to 2026? Now, joining us this morning is Abhishek Jalan, who is the CEO of Grovy Developers. They're a firm with, I think, 5 decades of experience, but we'll find out a little bit more in a moment. He's a seasoned real estate professional, deep experience in residential development and market strategy across the UAE. Abhishek, it's good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Let's start with you. We were talking very briefly off air about your background, mainly here in the UAE, but I know in India terms, you're 50 odd years in the business.
That's correct. So we have been in Delhi development for about 5 decades now, and we have been. So Delhi is a very mature market, like any other mature city. So when we talk about real estate, there are different demographics in across the world. You have cities, top tier 1, tier 2 cities, which are really in the business for long time. So let's say thousands of years, and these markets mature and have matured very well as of today.
Sure.
So yeah, we have been in that business for a long time. We understand how to work with agency partners, how to work with contractors. And it's a very important business where we are able to make sure that everyone works together for delivering the project.
Okay, so 5 decades in India. When, what was the decision? When was that made to enter the UAE market?
So we actually planned on doing some development in 2007 in UAE, and we were looking at.
And that was quickly rethought as things changed, I guess.
So we planned on doing something in 2007-8. It didn't work out very well, and but we stayed in the market. We stayed in the investor market. We continued buying properties. We understood how the dynamics are working, because obviously it was still a growing market.
Yeah.
So we had to understand how the price appreciation is happening, and unless you are in the game, you really are not able to track the business itself.
Yeah.
So that's what we continued. And then 2015, we said, okay, fine, we have been doing this for a while now. We already have the know-how. Let's, venture into it.
Okay, and you started in 2015, 2016 with what kind of development? Where did you begin?
So we started with JVC. I mean, that time JVC was the only spot in Dubai where, new developers would come in. There were different ticket sizes of the project. So it was 90,000 square feet all the way to 500,000 GFA. So we started with Dubai, Jumeirah Village Circle, and Alcove was our first project, which we handed over in 2018.
JVC is an amazing kind of microcosm of Dubai, isn't it, in lots of ways? I was there last night, and I remember a friend of mine bought a small villa there, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. It has grown into this, it's an incredible kind of communal area. There's something, I think of JVC as being kind of something for everybody.
100%, yeah. I mean, it has got premium hotels, it has got office spaces, residential communities,
there,
mall is there, and the mall occupancy is quite good. I mean, I last I went there, if I'm correct, maybe the occupancy rate was very high.
Yeah, no, it's a great mall, and it's also one of those areas where you've got kind of you've got kind of a city feel. There's lots of little, small, independent businesses. I was driving around actually, to be honest, if I'm completely honest with you, I was lost looking for the house. But I come across a little coffee place. There was a really cool little coffee place next to a Pilates studio. Something about it, there's a great buzz there. So I suppose, that's not going to cool down anytime soon.
There is still a lot of space available in JVC for development. So I feel JVC... So Dubai, what we have understood now from Dubai is a very pocketed market. So each community has a different price perspective.
Yeah.
JVC, I remember in 2016-17, the price per square feet, we used to sell about 950,000, maybe max. Today, JVC is doing somewhere around, 15 to 1,700, maybe 1,800 on an off-plan project. So what has happened over the course of time is obviously because it was open for private developers to come in, that boom helped that particular community. But I feel what is important in this market, which is still a growing market, is the rental, which is a leading indicator of price per square feet for properties which are going to be delivered.
Yeah.
So we see in pockets slight corrections happening. I mean, obviously JVC is one of those areas as well. And yes, I think still, and this doesn't necessarily mean that's a negative thing for the market. It is always a good thing that there is an up and down, because it is in the end driven by the market forces.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you would look, you kind of look for the ebbs and flows, wouldn't you, if you
Correct.
were looking at it graphically, I guess. It's interesting that you're here today, because what tends to happen in most radio stations, TV stations, most media at the end of the year is the look back and the look ahead.
Correct.
We're talking at the end of 2025, and I'm interested in your thoughts, because it's been some year for real estate in the UAE, Abhishek. You've said that the UAE real estate market is stabilising, I think. We're attributing that quote to you anyway, rather than slowing down. And I think that's a reasonable way to characterise it. But what are the indicators that really jump out to you that show you that we've entered this kind of stabilisation phase?
So I think one of the biggest indicators, or rather two of the biggest indicators coming, is the rental, because we see some correction in the rental prices. So, and in UAE, what we have seen is rents typically are a look ahead indicator. So basically what the rents will say is if the rent is going up, you can expect the selling price to go up, because it is obviously maintaining a stable ROI. We're looking at between 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
And what we're also seeing is the rental yield is coming down, like any other mature market, because in most of the mature markets, you would not get a rental yield of 7%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is one of the factors. The other key factor is the cost of construction. Because there has been such a boom, cost of construction has gone up, say about, in cases, it has gone up to more than 20%. Now, and we have seen this previously as well, that whenever the cost of construction is a lagging indicator. So what happens is when your projects have launched, markets moving ahead in terms of sales and marketing, your cost of construction is the last thing which gets impacted. So your rent is something which tells you, yes, there can be a possible up and down in the market. Cost of construction will tell you, yes, there is a spike in the demand. So that also is a big indicator to show that the market needs some stabilization over there.
Okay, so how is the stabilisation that we're seeing now, or is it different from previous markets? We've talked about the ebbs and the flows that we all experience, but from corrections that perhaps we've seen in the past, is it different?
Things are very different compared to how it was. And the thing is, with every economic up and down, there are a lot of learnings that comes with that. So
Right.
now, obviously, with the regulatory framework in place, so regulatory framework is protecting not only the investor, it is also protecting the developer, it is also protecting the contractor. So when that comes into play, obviously there's a supervisory body making sure that everything is happening as per what the guidelines are. So obviously that becomes one important factor. The other thing is education to the customers. People are much more educated how they were. I mean, 10, 15 years back, there was lack of education. Now there's much more education. Transparency levels have gone up. Yes, it needs work and it will continue needing work. But the thing is, the transparency level has definitely gone up. People today are aware of how they want to make the payments, how it should be routed in the escrow accounts, and the mechanism behind that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's certainly. I think you could fairly safely categorise Dubai as a maturing market,
Yes.
couldn't you? That's a reasonable way, I suppose. Talk to me about off-plan activity in the market, and in particular off-plan resale activity.
Yeah. So when we're looking at the data, what has happened is people who are buying primary product from the developers, they end up selling the product at an early stage to get a difference in the price.
Sure.
So typically that has reduced. So last year we were looking at about 10%. So from 10% it has come down to 6%. So this is also giving you an indicator that price has come to a tipping point where it needs to, people are not very keen on doing resales in a primary product. So because they're not getting much appreciation on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is one of the important parameters as well. So there are an array of data basically that you look at, but the key data that we typically look at, which gives you an indication of the market, is the rental and the cost of construction.
Okay. So, in relative terms, would you say that's a healthy correction, if you like, healthy thing for the market?
100%. It is something which is always good to have in the market. A one-sided movement in the market is never a sustainable movement. So ups and down in the market is very important. It makes sure that the expectation between the buyer and seller gets aligned. Because when one-sided movements happen, the expectation of sellers become very different compared to what the expectation of the buyer is. And you don't want that in a market. You want, well, in essence, you would want to have a small gap between what is happening in terms of the selling and the offer price. So that correction is something which is required in the market.
Okay. Do you think that signals, I don't know, does that signal an end to speculative investing, or is it just a move towards a more kind of long-term strategic approach?
You know, speculative trading in any financial market is one of the important parameters which will be there and will forever be there. The reason why I'm saying that is, so in the financial markets, and we consider real estate as a purely financial product. Now, in the financial market, when you look at the stock markets, when you look at the futures and mutual funds, in any of these markets, there are speculative trades there.
Yeah.
Now, those speculative trades are very important for the market because just like speculative trades are market makers, people who are coming in, buying, bulk, selling. So someone like investors, speculative traders will be someone who will be betting on the market, or technically saying that, you know what, I feel the market might be going up. This can be retail investors, majority retail investors. And then you will have broker dealers. Broker dealers are the ones who would be technically making sure that the buyer and seller is getting the product. Not your agency network, but technically broker dealers. So all of these segments in the market are very important. So speculative traders is a very important parameter, and they will remain in the market. Okay. The volumes might go up and down, and that depends on the market cycle. So you will see a lot of speculative traders coming into the market as soon as there's an upside movement, significant upside movement.
Sure.
And you'll also see a lot of speculative traders coming into the market when there's a lot of downside movement. So in both scenarios, you will see a lot of speculative traders. The number of speculative traders would increase.
It's not going to change, is it? And I guess, I'll ask you in a minute. I might as well ask you now. More upside moments coming in 2026, I suppose.
Well, I mean, looking at the data where the market has gone up in the last couple of years, I feel stability is very important in the market for future investor confidence. So stability doesn't mean there's a price correction. So when we look at the technical data as well, stability also means that your price stabilizes. So for example, today you are selling at 100. So tomorrow it is selling at 100, not 102, not 99.
Yeah.
So when that happens for a certain duration, it brings more confidence to the market. So at an institutional level, that builds trust in the market, that yes, you know what, that price which you bought at 100 is holding in the market. Because real estate will always appreciate. If the economy is growing, real estate will appreciate.
Yeah.
It is simple inflation hedge. If there is inflation in the economy, real estate will grow.
Let's talk about, you mentioned rental rates.
Yeah.
You have a couple of times, actually. In established areas, 5 to 7% is kind of the range, isn't it? So, which is an easing, obviously. How should landlords, how should investors interpret, that change, that easing?
See, rental yields in mature markets, when we look at the data across the world, rental yields are not very high. So typically what happens is in UAE, there's an arbitrage between the bank rates and the rental rates. That you won't find in most of the markets. I mean, in mature markets, that spread is going to be very limited. So over the course of time, the rental rates should be coming down. So you will see price appreciation, rents correction, but it is also possible that the rental yield might not go back to 7 or 8%. I feel that it should come down in the long run. As the market matures, that will be the scenario.
Okay. You also point out that long-term rental yields are improving in select locations. Where do you see the best balance between that kind of price stability and yield going forward?
That's like asking where is the gold price going?
It is the target question. You're right.
So again, it is all speculative. The accuracy of these answers is, there's a 50-50 chance. So the thing is, any area which is growing, now we are seeing Dubai population growing. And one of the major reasons why UAE population, the real estate is appreciating is because the population growth is it. That's one of the major fundamental reasons why the pricing is going up in UAE.
Well, for sure. Dubai hitting 4 million this year.
Yeah, so because the demand is going up, you need people coming in, and you're seeing a lot of investors becoming end users becoming investors, so that flipping is also happening. Coming back to a question, I feel areas like Dubai South see good upside, can look at good upside because these are growing communities. And what we're also seeing is communities which are coming new have better value proposition than older communities.
Right.
So yes, Dubai South can be one area. On the east, we can look at these master communities which are coming towards Al Qudra and after Studio City. So we have some communities coming up in that area. Then we're also looking at in the northeast side, so we can look at DLRC and all the way up to, I think there's one community over there, the Valley, which is further up. So these will see some price appreciation.
Okay.
In the long run. Sorry to cut you off. So basically, what I'm trying to say is long run is not 5 to 6 months.
No.
So definitely in the next 4 to 5 year horizon, these areas will definitely see value proposition.
I don't ask you that question to put you on the spot in any way. I'm asking you that because we talk to lots of different people in different areas of real estate, and really, your answer there reflects it's very similar to lots of the answers we're getting. So it gives me a feel of, okay, this, Dubai South in particular is an area that's been under the microscope on this program a number of times. So it's an interesting point. Let's talk about buyer-seller dynamics for a few moments. One, I think, interesting point that you raised is the narrowing gap between bid and ask prices. Why is this such an important sign of, we're back to that maturing market idea again?
So some key elements to a financial product is that it has to be transparent. How do you value the transparency of the product is when the gap is or the spread is less. So that a certain product, for example, when you look at a very volatile and very liquid product is gold. So when we look at gold, you and I today know what the price of gold is because the market is transparent. So that transparency also translates into the spread. So you will say, okay, fine, I have gold, I want to sell it at $4,500. I will say, well, no, I will buy it at $4,499. So that is the spread. That is a $1 spread. So typically, what that means is the product is easily liquidated. You can always sell the product at a fairly fair price. So liquidity and price stability and transparency, these two things are very important for a good financial instrument. And that is what needs to be translated in the real estate market.
Does it suggest that buyers are more confident? Does it suggest that sellers are more realistic?
So typically what I'm seeing right now is this gap is typically favoring or the sellers are more confident in the market because the prices are going up. So when the seller becomes more confident, it's a seller's market. When the buyers become more confident, it's a buyer's market. So typically when the market starts falling, you'll see the buyers coming into play and giving offers which might not be realistic. So right now what we are seeing is, as we all know, the markets are going up. So yeah, it's a seller's market predominantly.
Okay. Let's look ahead to 2026. As I said, it's the look back, the look ahead time of year, of course. Credibility, quality, on-time delivery are three of the main elements, I think, to define success. That's a reasonable way to define it, I guess. Are those matters going to? Are those factors going to matter more than ever next year?
I think in the coming years that will only solidify even further because as a developer, the primary objective of a real estate developer is to hand over the project. Rest aside, everything else is good, but the handover of the project is the key element. Now, with the prices going up on construction, this maths will change. So where developers are able to credibly deliver the product in good quality, I think that will only solidify their position in the market.
The perceived wisdom, I think, with lots of people that come in here to discuss real estate, whichever sector they might be in, whichever particular area, tends to come back to quality of developer. And I've asked a few people, Dubai's a market, it's a real estate market, that's fine, but it's really about the developers in the market, more than, perhaps more than any other market. That's the impression I get.
So I feel quality is a very subjective term. So basically what happens is, in this market, what we are specifically seeing is when people talk about quality, they pretty much talk about the design elements, that how the design is done. So when from a technical perspective, quality can talk about the product itself, what the raw materials are being used, essentially, what the stone is, what the tiles are, what the sanitary fixtures are, what the paint is, what the MEP is, all these things. But from an end user perspective, people talk about quality. Well, yes, this looks nice because you have glass paneling over here, floor to ceiling glass. So that doesn't necessarily talk about quality, but that talks about the design elements, which a lot of people, I feel, interchangeably use, that quality and visual designs.
It's perception of quality,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah, okay. No, that's interesting. But that tends to be the overriding phrase that people use. Which leads me to a question I've been wanting to ask you is, how can buyers and investors distinguish developers with a proven track record, and there are many, from those that are just, riding the cycle at the moment, this upturn that we've seen over the last, take 12 months?
I would say visit their developments, what they have done previously, to have a look and feel of the product. Talk to the security guards. Do you get a lot of complaints? And understand if those complaints are genuine or not genuine. I mean, I think that is a good way to evaluate the quality of the development, because in good quality products, you will ideally not have MEP complaints. I mean, typically that gets overlooked a lot, and I feel that is the backbone of any building. So if you have AC issues, if you have plumbing issues, electrical issues, obviously these have to be evaluated, and these cannot be evaluated without speaking to people.
Local knowledge, again.
Yeah. So I think speaking to the security, securities are very open to have a discussion about these things. It's fairly stable, but you have to do the effort.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that's one way to evaluate it. You can also look at the rental prices. There are many websites available. You can do a very simple comparative of the product you are looking at from a developer and the neighboring products, and understand, is that selling better than the neighbor, or is it renting better? Because if that is the scenario, then the developer is doing something good.
The advice of talking to the security guys is, I think, very smart advice, I have to say. They are very often very willing to have a chat with you. Let's look ahead a little bit. Where do you see, or where do you expect to see the strongest demand, the kinds of communities or property types, as the market continues to mature?
So we are seeing a lot of demand coming in the commercial side, because obviously that's a little undersupplied in the market. But from a community perspective, I think Dubai is giving you a very wide option. So I think it will remain to be a pocketed environment where, because some people would want to live at the beach. So they would look at JBR, Marina, and all these communities. Some people do not, or would not prefer to live in a very dense populated area. So they might move a little further up. So I think it's a very personal choice as to where the demand is. But yeah, from a return perspective, the areas that we mentioned, which is the periphery of New Dubai right now, is what will be definitely going.
Well, what about where you expect, though? I mean, it is a very personal thing. You're absolutely right. And I think the UAE provides something for everybody.
Oh yeah, 100%.
A phrase I'm coming back to again. Where would you expect to see, I guess, the strongest demand? Waterfront properties jumps to my mind immediately, if you can get them, for example.
See, a lot of the communities which are prime properties, these might become out of reach in the next couple of years. As in, because the population is growing and the demand is growing with it. So these communities might become out of reach. So let's say Palm.
Right.
There are some buildings which are very well done over there. So I think that will see a good upside. And the uber luxury market and the luxury market is always an evergreen market in Dubai. So it doesn't matter what the economic cycle is, and it really stays there. It's just that the record prices keeps changing. So yeah, I think that will be a definitely evergreen market.
Okay. A final question for you, and this is the complete opinion, speculation, feeling question. For somebody considering entering the UAE real estate market in the next year or two, what should be top priority? Is it timing? Is it location? Is it developer credibility? Is it design elements? What would you say?
So developer credibility is definitely important if the person is looking into off-plan projects. If it's not off-plan project, developer credibility is probably not the paramount over there, because you can see the product, you know what the product feels like, you know what the living experience is over there. But if it's an off-plan project, all these things matter. From a timing perspective, I feel it's always a good time to have real estate in your investment portfolio. It diversifies your risk and it's a great tool of wealth creation. So entering thinking that, you know what, the prices will correct is, I mean, I don't personally favor that opinion. I would say that if you have made a call that you want to enter the real estate market, enter. Make sure that your finances are secured to make the payments in the future, because otherwise that can lead to terminations. So, but if your finances are secured, make sure you enter. Now, when you are entering, you have to verify the developer credibility. You have to make sure that the project gets delivered in time and in the quality which is specified. So yes, verifying these informations would be very important.
Okay, so the old adage that, you know, when's the best time to enter the property market is now.
Every time. Whenever you ask me the question, the answer is going to be now. Because people do end up speculating a lot, thinking, well, you know, the price will correct. But it does not matter if the price corrects 5 to 7%. You are not in the game for 6 months. You are in the game for the long run. And when you have that exposure in the market with real estate, you also open up facilities for banking, which is also a key element of real estate. Essentially, it's a debt business. You have to have some debt on your personal books or balance sheets or whatever. So real estate, essentially, whenever you say the market, if the economy is growing, enter in the market. Because there will be corrections. You never know when the bottom is. You never know when the top is. And if we continue waiting for it, we just miss out the opportunity.
That's the point, isn't it? Don't just sit around and wait, I guess. It's been interesting talking to you. Abhishek Jalan is the CEO of Grovy Developers, over 5 decades in India, and over a decade, which is it's kind of in dog years. That's kind of 5 decades in Dubai in some ways, I suppose. Abhishek, pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming.
Same here. Thank you, Tim.
It's been good to have you with us. This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive. A like and a subscribe wherever you join us from. If you're on social media, YouTube, wherever it is you find us, get in touch. Tell us what you think, and everything we do is available to watch and or listen again. Find us wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search Mira Business FM.